Today we bring you
Reconstructing Spirit Hill.
The first thing we're going to do in repairing drywall holes is we're going to trim these holes on the outside so that there's basically kind of an indent going into the hole. Instead of it kind of peeling out like this is here, we want it flowing inward. This is going to help us smooth out our mud over top. We're going to do this to all of our holes. The next step is measuring the piece of drywall that's going to go into that spot. So this hole is about 4 inches by 3.5. And we're going to measure this out to 4 inches by about 3.5. When you cut drywall, the best thing you could do is just score it several times. And then just snap it, score it on the back side. Now we should have a piece that'll fit close to it. It's not going to be exact because nothing ever is. We need to cut it down just a little bit to get it to fit directly into the hole. And when you cut a piece to fit, it never actually quite fits. So you kind of have to just kind of work with it for a little bit until you get it tight enough. This piece I've been working with for a little bit. It'll fit. Next thing I'm going to do is just kind of angle in these edges, so that, similar to the exterior edges, we have a surface that's angled in and not peeling outward. That'll make it easier when it comes to mudding. So I'm just scraping these down and angling them inward. Nobody taught me how to do this, I'm just thinking of it as I go. Now, something that happened when I worked in the bathroom was this smaller, narrower pieces of wood I was using were cracking. And so if you have the space, it would actually be better to use more of something like a 1x behind there to hold this in. And you'll have less problems with it cracking. So I'm going to stick a 1x in there. Hold it up in place. You're working with a real narrow area here. Start my drywall screw by hand. You can see how much easier that was than I was working in the bathroom. Because I have a lot more space to work with. I'm working with better materials. Now when we put this piece in place, shove it in, and we're going to screw it on. We want to sink our screws just enough to hold it in place and be able to be covered with mud. Now when I run my hands over this, what I want is for the surface of this to be slightly below this top surface so I can run my mud over it and get it nice and smooth all the way down. Now I am ready to mud. So what I'm going to do is kind of mix this up a little bit and get some mud out in my tray. Best thing you could do when you mud is use a nice wide knife. I have a 10-inch knife here, which is a good size knife for doing these smaller holes. I'm going to take the mud, I'm going to work it into the holes and cracks first. A lot of people would normally tape these before applying mud. I don't have any drywall tape, so I'm just making do with what I have. And I don't think it's going to be a huge ordeal in the long run. But you want to scrape your mud as tight as you can. This could take several applications to get it completely smooth. As you can see, because I set this slightly closer in, as I run my knife blade across the hole and I scrape it clean, I'm really keeping it as smooth as possible. Instead of having something like that, have something nice and smooth like that. Now I'm going to let this mud dry while I go work on some other areas, and I'll come back and do this process again until I feel completely confident that I've covered this entire area.